talkshoe.
Recorded live.
Hi, this is Nigel, and this is my first night on talkshoe. I started this community call or community show because I, like many other TIs out there, have been going through what is called electronic surveillance harassment. Also being tortured using microwave weapons, V2K, which is voice to skull, as well as privacy rights issues that has been inflicted on me and a large number of people. So this is my way of, helping the TI community and exposing this atrocity that's going on. Tonight, I would like to talk about what it is to be a targeted individual or a TI, and how we as TIs can basically come together and really have trust in one another to make changes, to be strong as a unit in terms of being separated, because this program is meant to keep us separated from each other. That way we will never come together to fight this injustice and what's being done. So tonight I want to read something from the gangstalkingjournal.com, which is the website that I had found, and I just thought it was very, very interesting because it's about a TI who is actually telling his story, and it's very informative because he also talks about the tactics that's being used, and I think it's very important that as TIs that we understand what it is that's being done to us and how it makes us feel and the reaction that we give, because this is psychological profiling, this is psychological control, this is brainwashing at its utmost identity, and how we can try to somewhat overcome some of the things that are being done to us. There are a lot of things that we cannot control that are being done to us in terms of the electronic harassment and the microwave weapon, the V2K. But if you're a TI and you've been going through this for a very long time, I think you reach a point in your life where, you realize the effect of what is being done to you have on your life, and as well as your mindset, your mentality, the way that you think, what kind of personality that it has developed within you, and whether it's positive or it's negative. And for the most part, it's negative, because anyone that is being brainwashed or being put through any kind of mind control program, it's never for good. It's always going to lead to the detriment of that person. So whatever these people, whatever they're doing, and they're telling people out there that if they tell them that this is for your good, don't believe it, because this is, like I said, whenever you put into a program like this, you've already been targeted for assassination. Once your name shows up and you're being put in this, it's not about trying to help you. It's not about trying to conform you into something that they feel is positive. It's for your detriment. And there are many reasons why people go through this, or people be put in this program. And like I said, there's always there's always a misleading that goes on, either through the brainwashing. They're trying to mislead you into believing certain things, and they're misleading the general public into believing certain things and going along with what they're doing. So you always have to keep an open mind as a TI, especially when you're going through and they're trying to make you believe certain things, not to believe it. And it's very, very hard, because once somebody plants a thought or an idea into your mind that's negative, it's kind of very hard to weed it out, especially if your day-to-day interaction with people reinforce those negative ideas or negative thoughts. So I'm just going to read this from this website, and it goes, I primarily wish to offer my voice to those of you waking up to discover you've become a target of covert manipulation. Knowledge is the key to freeing ourselves from oppression and getting on with pursuing our passions and personal development. I found many sources of additional perspective that have helped me to enhance my own. Likewise, I seek to present my knowledge in the event that others may find themselves, in my perspective, helpful. If you find something useful in what I relate, appropriate it, adapt it to suit your journey, and leave the rest. What you find here are my observation and analysis of covert oppression, along with some frank accounts of my experience. In gathering experience and developing understanding, I discovered truths that challenge my own belief, as well as broach the confine of many commonly held beliefs about the nature of reality. Take only what you find useful, which will resonate with your intuition and observance. Systematic indoctrination. The age of enlightenment brought the world to a surface of consciousness where the rights of the individual took precedent over submission to a political territorial state. Today, such ideas are held to the highest esteem. Yet the nature of mankind, namely our seemingly need to control our environment and the others being around us, did not conveniently disappear. Rather, control of others has become a covert endeavor. In daily use of language and in meta communication, most of us experience subtle forms of covert manipulation. As both controller and receiver, many of us have adopted various indoctrination techniques and habits from those around us. For the most part, these are unconscious habits not intended to harm. When it comes to gang stalking, though, the method of covert control are carried out with the intent to harm, whether intended by perpetrators or those manipulating them. Indoctrination is a core element of gang stalking. For those seeking freedom, learning to discern attempt by others to limit our perspective is par for the course. For those seeking to control others, indoctrination can be an effective tool for controlling a person's view of reality. Only so far as we allow our perspective to be hijacked by those who seek to gain from all loss. Gang stalking and other forms of covert oppression are symptoms of imbalance. Apparently, this cultural disease has become to a boiling point, as evidenced by the increased number of people waking up and actively struggling to take on these issues. Since there is a clear connection between the less intentional, commonplace method of covert control found in daily interaction and the intentional, extreme version found in organized stalking, we must aim to spotlight to ourselves while we work our way towards greater understanding. This is a systematic issue affecting every member of mankind. We are not only fighting extreme influence, but internal influence. We are having to become aware of our own mental symptoms of cultural indoctrination. You are the highest authority in your universe. You may request resistance from contemporaries or other advanced entities. But for most practical purposes, when it comes to discerning negative from positive influence or sorting through these layers, when it comes to our interaction with others and learning to become covert oppression, you are the ultimate judge. So this is just a purpose reading on this website. And, this reader, this T.I. who's written this, I found to be very, very informative in terms of, when you're a T.I., okay, you have to realize that when you're going through this, and this will take many, many years of you going through this, that, the effect of what's being done to you, okay, and the negative, the negative context and the negative behavior that you may develop because of this, will make it even more so reason for them to target you. So if you're in UTI and you're listening to this, be aware that what it is that they're doing to you is to manipulate your mind to act in a negative fashion, okay? Even though they're maybe telling people out there that they have a reason for doing this, the only reason they have for doing this is for your destruction. Okay, because like I said, once you're being put into this program, it isn't for your benefit, but these people are seeking, satisfaction from your destruction. So you have to realize this, and if you don't, because one of the things that is so confusing as a TI is that when you're going through this, is that sometimes you feel that people, that there are people out there who are trying to help you. Okay, and so you tend to have your feeling when you see somebody do certain things that you either have a comfort feeling, or when you see somebody do something else, you have a negative feeling. And so that's a way of them trying to trick you into believing that, okay, you know what, that this person is actually not like that other person that's doing this negative thing. Okay, and it happens because sometimes when you're walking or you're sitting or you're on the train or you're somewhere and somebody's doing negative things in front of you, then all of a sudden somebody that's sitting next to them or across from them, they start doing some of those things back to that individual that is doing those negative things to you. And that is to kind of make you feel like, that you're being helped, but you're not actually being helped. This is one of the things in what they do, is because if you develop negative behavior, okay, then you start to think that, okay, well, there are people out there trying to help me, so I'm just going to continue on doing what I'm doing, okay. And a lot of times, like I said, I really don't blame people who are being put into this program for any kind of negative behavior, because that is what they do to condition your mind. And once you're in this program, especially if you feel that somebody's trying to control you, you're not going to allow anybody to control you. You're not going to allow anybody to try and manipulate you. And the whole purpose of them letting you know that this is being done to you is to drive you crazy. Okay? Because they know for a fact that most people who are strong-willed, okay, will not settle for someone trying to control them. So whether they make you feel a certain way or whether they try to make you feel like they're your friends, all right? No one is your friend if they're not speaking out against this crime that's being committed. Okay? If no one is opening their mouth and say to you that we know that this is being done to you and we're trying to help you, then you really have no friends. Okay? And so you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that and don't get into this mindset that, that there are people out there that are trying to help you. Because if they're not saying anything to you, then, how could they be helping you? So that's one of the things. Another thing also is some of the tactics in which perps do, okay? And just want to touch on a couple of things. Okay, so we're talking about organization of stalking, gang stalkers. And, it's not really a term that I like to use, but I don't see any other term because, to me, stalking is like you're being followed and stuff like that. Well, in this case, these people, they're not, a lot of times, maybe in the beginning they're following you, but, when they get to a certain point where, they no longer are following you, then, it's, I think, I really can't use the word stalking anymore, because it's like you going into a store and there are people there and they're harassing you, So I like to use the word harassment more as in terms of gang stalking. I would just call it gang harassment because, stalking with somebody's following you and they, if they're, there's some circumstances when people do stalk you because they do take pictures of you So then I would consider that to be stalking. But I would call it gang harassment. So I want to talk about organizational stalking. An organizer of a gang stalking campaign has worked long enough or diligently enough to have built a following of weak-minded individuals. Then the bribes offered also include promises of increased status within the organization. Sometimes these webs of accomplices are criminal organizations, street thugs on the lower level. Sometimes the network or accomplices are simply exist in social groups. This means neighborhood-wide groups such as Neighborhood Watch or on a smaller scale, various social groups organized around unrelated interests the members have in common. In the case of social groups, one of the laws to participate in stalking of an individual is the desire to fit in with the group. Sometimes the law is the motivation of fear. Fear that they will be ostracized or worse, that they will be the next person targeted by the gang of stalkers if they refuse to participate. It's all about control. The primary tactics and goal of any gang stalker is to control the target as much as possible. Covert harassment and surveillance are used in combination with both control of the target and to create the illusion that a control is a much larger conspiracy than it really is. The more information gang stalker can gather by the target, the more custom they can make the harassment campaign. The more they harass the target, the more likely it is that they can intimidate the target or reduce him or her to reactionary state, where the target behavior is easily anticipated by the stalkers. And I find myself, when he talks about the reactionary state, that is something that I find myself doing sometimes. And sometimes I do it a lot in terms of, seeing what they do and doing exactly what they do back to them. So now they have basically draw you into their game, okay, when you start to do these things, and then you see that they're smiling because they basically have you caught up into their world now, and that's something that you as a TI that you have to try and avoid. You have to avoid that. Sometimes we have a feeling, or we get the feeling that they're gang stalking me, I'm gonna gang stalk them. Forget it. And it becomes very destructive to you because you're just one individual. Okay, these are many people that are basically trying to, psychologically harass you, psychologically break you down, and you cannot fall into their trap. You cannot fall into the reactionary, feelings or reactionary state in which they try to draw you into. Oftentimes, until one of the chance to step back and take stock, when a target is relentlessly harassed and intimidated, he or she begins to redirect more of his or her energy to basic survival. Where normal people have frequent opportunities to rest and play and step back from the situation in life to gain perspective and think things over, targeted individuals often do not have these options. The facet of regular life becomes luxury rather than the norm. This constant barrage of attack and intimidation are psychic rape, plain and simple. Gang stalking predators repeatedly rape the target intellectually, psychologically, and oftentimes physically in order to reduce them to a state of living from one moment to the next. I find that to be very, very important, okay? Because when you're being attacked 24/7, okay, when people are outside in your block, okay, watching you, okay, and especially when you feel like you're in a paranoid state and you get to that point which is called the flight or fight, and you want to run away, you want to get away, you will leave your house 2 o'clock in the morning, okay, just to see if there are people out there waiting for you. And sure enough, as you leave the house at that time, sure enough, there may be someone standing up in the middle of your block or by your house, just waiting for you to come out. And it's a very scary situation where you feel like you're being watched like this, and that's one of the things that basically will hurt a TI psychologically. So you cannot develop this feeling of you want to always run away. You cannot feel like you have to move to this state or move to that state, because you know what, this is a government program, and there are a large section of the population that are involved in this, and so you're going to be watched constantly. They're going to know. They have your phone tap. They have your employers involved, your coworkers involved, and so once you start to develop this, the fear, then it is going to affect you psychologically. And so, you cannot live fearful. You have to stand up to them. Like I said, there's nothing you can do about the electronic harassment. There's nothing you can do about the micro weapon that's being used against you. There's nothing you can do about the mind control weapon. But you have to realize at a certain point, and from your experience, that what it is that you've gone through and that you've been through, any negative action that you may have done or you will do, you cannot hold yourself responsible. Okay? And you have to realize that. You have to realize that you cannot hold yourself responsible, because in this program, like I said, it's meant for your detriment. Okay? And you have to, at some point, you have to realize that and really believe that, this is really something that I cannot allow these people to do, and you really have to fight. You really have to fight. You really have to, put things in perspective and say, look, you know what? If I have a job and they want me to quit, I'm not going to quit. If I have kids and they don't want me to see my kids, I'm going to see my kids. Because everything that you do that you enjoy doing or will help you in life to make money, they will try and prevent you from doing that. So if you're working and you want to start a business and you see that they're blacklisting you, then don't quit your job. So they will have you believe that, if you quit your job, then, everything will be okay. And, and that's really, and if you really look at situations in which a lot of TIs find themselves in when they end up not working, is that they're being blacklisted. Okay? So if you quit your job and you think you're going to start a business or something like that, it's not. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it'd be very difficult if you're a member in this program, or if you're put into this program. I just want you to be aware of that and to not make those mistakes. And then you should be fine, and try to develop a strong mentality. Like I said, when it comes to some of the things that are being done to you, people might call you crazy. When you tell people, like, I feel like, my mind is being read. They might say, well, no one can read your mind, but believe me, they can. If you look at some of the research that have been done within the past 5 years in terms of, the technology in which they can hook up a person's mind to a computer and monitor their thoughts. 15, 20 years ago, you would all say it's impossible, but we're seeing it now. Okay, and this is a a program in which the government is experimenting or does experiment on individuals. Okay, and then we're being made to look crazy when we talk about it. But, as long as you keep in perspective that, whatever, that what you're going through is something that's real and it's not something that your mind is just conjuring up, it will be more helpful for your mental state, instead of believing when people say, oh, it's all in your mind and that's that. Get on some medication, you take that. Listen, I've taken medication for the past 7 years, and this hasn't stopped. So you have these psychiatrists and psychologists who, because they have a degree that says, I'm this, and because they can write a prescription, then when you talk about it, it's what they do. They're not trying to help you. They're trying to perpetuate the myth that you have some mental illness. When you tell people, listen, you know what, why is it that when I think of certain things, okay, and I go outside, there are people talking about the same thing that I was just thinking about? Why is it that when, I say certain things in my mind, when I walk outside, somebody will walk next to me and repeat those same things that I was just saying in my mind? So how is that possible? And the only way I can tell you that's possible is that, you have an implant. You have an implant, and this is a mind-reading device, and it may not be able to read, every thought you have, but it may be able to read certain keywords. Like when I go to work, and my manager goes in front of me and makes these hand signals, and certain words come to mind. Those words are being monitored. Those words are appearing on a computer, and it will tell your perpetrator whether that mind control is actually working, whether you're reading into these hand signals, and whether you're reacting to it. So it's very important, but who's going to believe you, right? You go to your doctor or psychiatrist, you say, yeah, this is what's happening. They'll give you medication. That's a way of the government covering up the technology that's being used on you, okay? It's very easy to make you look like you're crazy when these crimes are being committed against you and no one would believe you, okay? But as long as you know that this is happening to you, as long as you don't believe that whatever it is that these psychiatrists say when they say, oh, yeah, you have a mental illness, don't fall into that. Do not fall into that, okay, because you know what's been done to you. So that's it for now. I'd like to close out the show. Like I said, I just try to be very informative and give support to the TI community, give support to those who are suffering much more than some of us are, and just to let the TIs know that, keep your head up, be strong, and don't let anybody get you down. This is very hard, and yes, they may get you to a point in which you're going to be afraid, and it's normal. It's normal, but go to bed, close your eyes, and wake up in the next morning ready to go for round two. That's my belief. I'm going to fight this, and I know because I'm fighting this and I'm trying to expose it that this is something that I'll be going through for the rest of my life. But I've already accepted that, and they're not going to shut me up, and hopefully they're not going to shut you up, and you'll speak out about what's being done, and eventually people will listen, and eventually people will start to take a stand. And I think when that time comes, I think we'll be living in a better America. We'll be living in a better world, and your kids and their kids can enjoy the freedom that that they truly deserve, instead of this illusion. Because right now, freedom is an illusion.